The email notification chimed at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday that would change everything. Subject line, LOL, look what I found in Nathan's desk drawer. Attached was a photo of my old business cards from 2019, back when I was still Nathan Mills, IT support specialist. My wife Jenna had sent it to her entire design team group chat. I stared at my monitor, reading the thread that followed. God, remember when he used to wear those awful polo shirts to company events? That was Ronan, her creative director and, as I'd recently discovered, her lover. At least now he dresses better for his little cubicle job. Little cubicle job. That's what she called the position I'd held for 3 years while she climbed the ladder at Morrison Design Group. The position I'd quietly left 2 weeks ago. Hey, Nathan! Jenna's voice carried across the office floor. She was walking toward my desk with that fake smile she wore when she wanted something. I brought you coffee. Thought you might need the energy for all that computer stuff you do. Her friends from Morrison, including Ronan, stood behind her, barely containing their laughter. They were here for some client meeting, but clearly couldn't resist stopping by to see the cubicle husband in his natural habitat. That's thoughtful, I said, not looking up from my screen. Really thoughtful of you to think of me during your busy day of, what is it you do again? Move colored rectangles around? Jenna's smile twitched. Very funny. Anyway, we should grab dinner tonight. Ronan was telling me about this new place downtown. Ronan has such great taste, I said, finally turning around. In restaurants, I mean. His taste in other things is questionable. The group exchanged glances. Ronan stepped forward, all 6 feet of designer-suited arrogance. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing at all. I stood up, gathering my things. Just that some people know quality when they see it and others don't. Where are you going? Jenna asked. It's only 4 o'clock. Early day. I slung my laptop bag over my shoulder. New schedule, you know how it is. What she didn't know was that my cubicle job had ended 14 days ago. What she didn't know was that I'd accepted a senior systems architect position with Meridian Tech in Austin. What she didn't know was that I'd already signed the lease on a downtown loft and scheduled the movers. What she definitely didn't know was that I'd found the photos on her phone 3 weeks earlier. I'd seen everything. The hotel receipts charged to her company card. The text messages calling me clueless and boring. The explicit photos she'd sent to Ronan with captions like, he's working late again? Your place in an hour? But my favorite was the video. 43 seconds of Jenna and Ronan making out in the Morrison Design parking lot, right under the security camera, completely oblivious to everything except each other. Mrs. Finch from our neighborhood had sent it to me with a note. Thought you should know, dear. Nathan? Jenna was staring at me. Are you feeling okay? You look different. Never better, I said. Enjoy your dinner. I'm sure Ronan will pick up the check. I walked away, leaving them standing there in confusion. Behind me, I heard Ronan mutter, "What's his problem?" If only he knew. The next morning, I called in sick. Instead of going to my non-existent cubicle, I drove to Derek's auto shop on the south side of town. Derek had been my best friend since college, back when I was studying computer science, and he was rebuilding engines in his dorm room. Now he owned 3 locations and knew every dirty trick in the book. You look like hell, he said, wiping grease off his hands with a red rag. Let me guess, Princess finally pushed you too far? Something like that. I handed him my phone, showing him the group chat screenshots. She thinks I'm still sitting in that cubicle taking her abuse. Derek whistled low. Man, she really went all out. And this Ronan guy, he's the one she's screwing? Among other things. I swiped to the parking lot video. Mrs. Finch caught them last week. Jesus. Derek shook his head. So what's the plan? Please tell me you're not just going to take this lying down. I'm thinking more along the lines of standing up, way up. I told him about Austin, about the new job, about the apartment I'd already furnished with money from my signing bonus. Then I told him what I really wanted to do. You're serious about this? Derek asked when I finished. Dead serious. They want to treat me like I'm nothing? Fine. Let's see how they handle being nothing themselves. Derek grinned. I'm in, but we do this smart, right? No criminal stuff. Absolutely. Just good old-fashioned public humiliation. We spent the next 2 hours planning. Derek had contacts everywhere. Security companies, IT services, even a guy who worked in HR at Morrison Design. By noon, we had a strategy that would make Sun Tzu proud. Phase 1 started that afternoon. I'd kept copies of all Jenna's work emails from when she used my laptop last year. Buried in those files were some interesting discoveries. Expense reports for client dinners that were actually dates with Ronan, a design portfolio that included work stolen from freelancers, and most importantly, a series of emails where she and Ronan mocked their boss, calling him a pathetic old man who wouldn't know good design if it bit him on his saggy ass. I packaged everything into a neat little folder and sent it anonymously to Mel Richardson, Morrison's HR director. The subject line read, "Thought you should see this. A concerned employee." Phase 2 happened that evening. Ronan drove a pristine white Audi, his pride and joy, according to Jenna's texts. It was parked in the Morrison lot every day until at least 8 p.m. Derek and I waited until the security guard made his rounds, then went to work. We didn't slash his tires or key his paint. That would be criminal damage. Instead, we removed his valve caps and let the air out slowly. We put a small piece of tape over his backup camera. And we left a note under his windshield wiper. You're not half the man you pretend to be. A concerned friend. By the time Ronan discovered his flat tires, we were long gone. Phase 3 was the masterpiece. The next morning, Jenna called me in a panic. Nathan, something terrible happened at work yesterday. Someone sent HR a bunch of fake emails trying to make me look bad. That's awful, I said, making breakfast in my new Austin kitchen. What kind of emails? Just work stuff. Mel called me into her office and started asking all these questions about my expense reports and my design portfolio. It's like someone is trying to sabotage me. Weird. Who would do something like that? I don't know, but Ronan thinks it might be someone from a competing firm. He's really upset about it. Someone vandalized his car, too. His car? That's terrible. What happened? Flat tires and some creepy note. He's convinced it's all connected. She paused. Nathan, I know things have been weird between us lately, but I need you to come home. I need your support right now. About that, I said, looking out at the Austin skyline. I won't be coming home, ever. What do you mean? I mean, I moved to Austin 2 weeks ago. I start my new job on Monday. Senior systems architect at Meridian Tech. 6-figure salary, stock options, the works. The silence stretched for 30 seconds. Finally, you're lying. Am I? Check my LinkedIn profile. Check the company directory at your precious Morrison Design. See if Nathan Mills still works there. I heard her typing frantically then. This isn't possible. You would have told me. We're married. We're married. Past tense. The divorce papers will be served next Tuesday. Nathan, wait. I hung up. 30 minutes later, my phone exploded with texts. Jenna, Ronan, even some of her friends from the design team, all of them demanding explanations, threatening legal action, calling me everything from psychotic to pathetic. But my favorite message came from Mrs. Finch. Saw Jenna screaming in the driveway this morning. Hope you're doing well, dear. The real fireworks started the following week. Derek called me Tuesday morning, laughing so hard he could barely speak. Dude, you have to see this. It's all over social media. He sent me a link to a video posted on Morrison Design's company Facebook page. Someone had hacked their account and uploaded security footage of Jenna and Ronan's parking lot makeout session, set to romantic music with the caption, Morrison Design, where creativity meets passion. The video had been shared 300 times before IT took it down. Please tell me that wasn't you, I said. Wasn't me directly, Derek replied. But I may have mentioned to my IT guy that their security system was vulnerable. What he chose to do with that information is between him and his conscience. By Thursday, The situation had escalated beyond my wildest dreams. Mel Richardson had launched a full investigation into Jenna's expense reports and portfolio. 3 clients had pulled their contracts after seeing the viral video. And Ronan's wife, yes, his wife, the little detail he'd forgotten to mention to Jenna, had shown up at the Morrison offices demanding answers. That's when I decided to return to town for the weekend. I booked a room at the Marriott downtown and called Jenna Friday evening. "Hey, it's me. I heard things got complicated at work." "Complicated?" Her voice was raw from crying. "Nathan, my career is over. Someone leaked our security footage, HR is investigating me for fraud, and Ronan lied to me about everything. He's married. He has kids." "That's rough," I said, not bothering to hide my satisfaction. "Really rough. I know you're angry about the divorce, but please, you have to help me figure out who's doing this. Someone is systematically destroying my life." "Huh, that does sound systematic. Almost like someone really smart planned the whole thing." "What?" "Nothing. Listen, why don't we meet tomorrow night? That new place downtown Ronan recommended. We can talk about everything." "Really? You do that?" "Of course. We're still married, technically. I should support you through this difficult time." She actually started crying with relief. "Thank you, Nathan. I know I haven't been the best wife, but—" "Don't worry about it," I said. "Let's just focus on moving forward." Saturday night, I arrived at the restaurant 30 minutes early and requested a table with a clear view of the entrance. Jenna showed up precisely on time, looking haggard and desperate. She'd lost weight, and her usually perfect hair hung limp around her shoulders. "You look good," she said, sitting down. "Different. More confident." "Austin agrees with me." I signaled the waiter. "Should we start with wine?" "I'm buying." For the first hour, I let her talk. She told me about the investigation, about Ronan's betrayal, about how her friends at Morrison were avoiding her. She cried twice and apologized 6 times. It was the most honest conversation we'd had in years. Then I decided to end it. "Jenna," I said, reaching into my jacket, "I have something for you." I pulled out a manila envelope and slid it across the table. "Go ahead, open it." Inside were printouts of every text message, every email, every photo she'd sent to Ronan over the past 6 months. Her face went white as she flipped through them. "How did you get these?" "Easy. You used my laptop to sync your phone, remember? I've had access to everything for months." She looked up at me with growing horror. "You've been watching me this whole time?" "Watching. Planning. Waiting for the right moment." I leaned back in my chair. "Did you really think I was that stupid? That I wouldn't notice the late nights, the mysterious expenses, the way you and your friends laughed at me?" "Nathan, I can explain." "No need. I already know everything, including the part where you called me pathetically clueless and said I was too boring to ever leave you." Tears started streaming down her face. "I never meant—" "But you did mean it. Every word, every laugh, every time you made me feel like I wasn't good enough." I stood up, dropping a $100 bill on the table. "The divorce papers were served this morning, by the way. Check your email." "Wait," she grabbed my arm. "We can work this out. I'll quit Morrison, we'll move to Austin together, start over." I gently removed her hand. "Jenna, there is no we. There never really was. You made sure of that." I walked away, leaving her sobbing into her wine glass. Outside the restaurant, I called Derek. "Phase 4 complete," I said. "How are things on your end?" "Beautiful. Ronan's wife filed for divorce yesterday. She's taking the house, the kids, and half his assets. Morrison fired him this morning for ethics violations. And here's the best part. He's been calling around looking for you. Wants to have a conversation." "Perfect. Text me his number." 20 minutes later, I was sitting in my hotel room when my phone rang. "Nathan, it's Ronan. We need to talk." "Sure," I said. "I'm at the Marriott downtown, room 847. Come on up." He arrived 15 minutes later, looking like he'd been hit by a truck. His perfect hair was disheveled, his designer suit wrinkled, his eyes red-rimmed and wild. "You son of a bitch," he said, pushing past me into the room. "You destroyed my life." "I didn't destroy anything," I replied calmly. I just showed people who you really are. My wife left me. My kids won't talk to me. I lost my job, my reputation, everything. He spun around to face me. All because you couldn't handle the fact that Jenna chose me over you. Chose you? I laughed. Ronan, she didn't choose you. She used you, just like she used me. The only difference is, I was smart enough to figure it out. You're insane. You know that? Completely insane. Maybe. But I'm also free. Free from a marriage that was killing me slowly. Free from a wife who saw me as a joke. Free from people like you who think they're better than everyone else. Ronan stepped closer, his hands clenched into fists. You think you've won? You think destroying my marriage makes you some kind of hero? I don't think I'm a hero, I said. I think I'm the villain in your story. And you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that. For a moment, I thought he might actually hit me. Instead, he collapsed into the chair by the window, his face in his hands. What am I supposed to do now? He whispered. I don't know, I said honestly. Figure it out. That's what adults do. After he left, I poured myself a scotch and stood at the window, looking out at the city lights. My phone buzzed with a text from Jenna. Please call me. We can fix this. I deleted it without responding. The next morning, I flew back to Austin. I had a new job to start, a new life to build, a new version of myself to become. The old Nathan, the one who sat quietly in his cubicle while his wife mocked him, was dead and buried. The new Nathan was just getting started. 6 months later, I got a LinkedIn notification. Jenna had updated her profile. Freelance designer seeking new opportunities. Ronan had moved to Phoenix and taken a job with a small marketing firm at half his previous salary. I didn't feel sorry for them. They'd made their choices, and now they were living with the consequences. Just like I was living with mine. The difference was I liked my consequences. I closed the laptop and looked around my Austin loft. Exposed brick walls, floor-to-ceiling windows, modern furniture that actually matched. In a few hours, I had a date with Sarah, a software engineer I'd met at a tech meetup. She was smart, funny, and treated me like an equal. It was amazing how much better life got when you stopped letting people walk all over you. My phone rang. Derek. Hey man, guess what I just saw on Facebook? What? Jenna's working at a coffee shop in Portland. Posted some bullshit about finding herself and embracing simplicity. Good for her, I said and meant it. You're not even a little bit satisfied? I thought about it. You know what? I am satisfied. Not because she's struggling, but because I'm not. I spent 3 years thinking I wasn't good enough for her. Turns out she wasn't good enough for me. Damn right she wasn't. After we hung up, I walked to my kitchen and started making dinner. Tomorrow was Monday, and I had a presentation to give to the executive team. My boss had hinted at another promotion, senior architect to team lead, with my own department and a salary that would have made the old me weep with joy. The cubicle king was dead. Long live the king. Live the king. Live the king. Live the king. Live the king.